greeting is will be delivered by the head of English language study. I'm sorry, for uh, for the first vice dean of cultural study, Professor Dr. Fatur Rahman M. Hum. Time and place is yours.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, I would like to say sorry, since the profile of mine, I don't know exactly it can come up to show and then to meet everybody in this session. Like what I'm seeing on my profile is only the symbol of camera, and then I try to make it fix, but I don't know exactly what problem with it. Today, I'm very happy of everybody is helping me for this conference, and then this is the fifth that will be held today and tomorrow, and then there are five or six keynote speaker, some of them from our special guests, and then some of them are the team teacher or the teaching staff of the Faculty of Cultural Science. I would like to greet one by one to say hello to Prof. Nur Jihad. The second one is Dr. Nasmila M. Hum. The third one is Dr. Asma Aftab, Dr. Asbab of Pakistan. Thank you very much for joining this program. And then the fourth one is Dr. Harlina. Dr. Harlina, I think everybody of the students know that she is the chairwoman of the ELS. And then I come to the last two, Dr. Andi Kaharudin. This is my college Makassar, and then last but not least, Dr. Kurdiawan Syarif of UIN Jakarta. Secondly, this is very important to tell everybody, Mr. Dean of the Faculty of Cultural Sciences did say hello and then say sorry, since today he is not able to join with us, and then he is asking me to stay or to stand up here on behalf of the Dean. And I tell him that I have already contacted to the student, and then I'm ready to do this. The next, since the theme of our program today is the transformation research in the mainstream of linguistic and literature education and translation, I would like to inform to our guests from outside of the ELS students that those five clues, those five keywords that are the that's are the the specification of the student who are studying in our program. The last but not least, I would like to say thank you very much for the chairwoman of the chairwoman of ELS, and then all the committee who have supported this program. We have a commitment that to do this program every year and always in the December, and then this is the fifth, since we know this is the chance for the students to sitting together to share the information of the knowledge. The last, on behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Cultural Sciences, is officially open this annual seminar and by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Akhirul kalam, wallahu waliyut taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The next agenda is praying, and it will be delivered by Shawaluddin. So Shawaluddin, time and place is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sebelum acara ini dimulai, marilah kita menundukkan kepala dan mengadakan tangan seraya berdoa agar kegiatan kita pada hari ini berjalan dengan baik. Izinkan saya memimpin doa dengan cara Islam. Bapak, Ibu hadirin, mohon kiranya berkenan untuk menyesuaikan sesuai dengan keyakinannya masing-masing. Auzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan naimin, hamdan yuwafi ni'mahu wa yukafi mazida. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karim wa azimi sultani. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, segala puji hanyalah untuk-Mu, pemelihara alam semesta. Segala puji atas karunia dan kenikmatan yang Engkau limpahkan kepada kami. Segala puji atas keagungan-Mu. Segala puji atas kemuliaan dan kekuasaan-Mu. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. Ya Malikul Quddus, kami agungkan nama-Mu karena hanya Engkaulah Tuhan kami. Hanya kepadamu kami bersujud, hanya kepadamu kami bersyukur, dan hanya kepadamu kami memanjatkan doa. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, hanya kepadamu kami menyembah, dan hanya kepadamu kami memohon pertolongan. Ya Allah, Ya Rabbana, hari ini kami berkumpul dalam kegiatan seminar sebagai sumbangsi terbaik kami untuk bangsa ini. Olehnya itu, kami memohon ridho kepadamu. Jadikanlah acara ini sebagai majelis ilmu yang membuahkan hasil, bermanfaat bagi profesi kami dan bagi peningkatan mutu institusi kami. Lancarkanlah acara kami. Penuhilah pertemuan ini dengan kebajikan dari awal hingga akhir nanti. Ya Allah yang Maha Mengetahui, bimbinglah kami dengan hidayah-Mu. Berkahilah kami selalu dengan takdir-Mu. Dan jadikanlah kami orang yang selalu amanah menjalankan profesi kami. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, jadikanlah kami dengan kegiatan ini bertambah ilmu serta bertambah pengetahuan dan kemampuan kami. Hingga kelak menjadikan kami sosok-sosok yang profesional dalam pekerjaan. Ya Allah, sungguh kami memohon, Jadikanlah kami orang yang sebanyak-banyaknya memberi manfaat bagi orang lain, sehingga akhir hidup kami mampu menghadapmu dengan senyum kebahagiaan. Ya Allah, perkenankanlah doa kami. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The next and the last agenda is closing. So I think that's all for the session. Thank you and apologize previously if any words that less pleasing to the audience here. So let's us close the opening ceremony ASELS by saying Hamdalah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. So the next session will be taken over by the moderator of plenary session, Dr. Abidin Pamu MA, the head of English Literature Department of Hasanuddin University. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning. As the moderator of the three keynote speakers today, let me mention Professor Dr. Nur Jihad Saleh and Professor Dr. Anda Nasmila M. Uhum, PhD, and Dr. Asma Aftaf of Pakistan from Pakistan. First of all, allow me to extend my sincere thanks to Deputy Dean of Faculty of Cultural Sciences, who has successfully declared the seminar open today. My special gratitude also goes to the head of ELS program, Dr. Harlina Sahib, who has opened the seminar, and congratulations to all organizing committee and others who has already prepared this seminar. Okay, before I allow one of the speakers, allow me to address the scenario of our agenda today. The agenda, for today, especially in my part, is until 12 o'clock, and every speaker has 30-minute allocation for delivering their speech, and 60 minutes is allocated for question and answer. And we hope that from these three speakers, we are able to reach the commitment to finish the speech until 12 o'clock today. I would like to remind the speakers when he or she is already over time, so I will allow them to speak as much as they can, but I'm sorry, I have to remind them when they are already over time. I don't have the PowerPoint from the most of the speakers today, but I have PowerPoint from Ibu Nasmila, who will be addressing reflective questioning in AFL speaking classroom, framing oral skills through experiential learning. I think and I believe that every one of us who are joining the seminar today will be able to figure out what is going on around Asia with regards to language teaching today, we hope. But if the speakers will not address any information in relation to what is going on, what is the most recent trend, we would like to invite the audience to raise question. I believe these three speakers will be able to respond to any queries, any questions asked to them today. Okay, allow me to allow me to see the schedule. The first speakers, according to the list, is Professor Dr. Nurjihad Saleh, MA. According to the list, I'm not really very sure whether the order of this list can be alleviated according to the consensus or whatever among the speakers. Ibu, Prof. Nurjihad, are you there? Prof? Hello, Prof. Jihad. There is no response from Nurjihad. Allow me to invite Dr. Asma Attaf from Pakistan. Dr. Asma?
Sorry, sir. The first speaker would be Ma'am Nasbila, since
Okay.
she's already
Okay.
available.
Okay. Yeah. We would like to invite Dr. Randa Nasmila M.Hum, PhD, to deliver her speech for 30 minutes. Time is yours, Ibu Nasmila.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much indeed. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, good morning.
Yes. Abidin, as the moderator, thank you very much for allowing me to do the presentation the first time. Actually, I prepare myself for the third third section of this presentation, but it's okay because everything is well prepared, so I can do my part earlier. Okay, then.
Okay.
Yes, of course, I have to say congratulations as well to all the committee members. You've been doing very well preparation. You have organized this big event, and hopefully we can reach as many participants as possible, because I know that this annual seminar is very crucial for English language study program, and also, of course, for those who are giving the biggest enthusiasm and interest in English language teaching. So this is my topic today. It's reflective questioning in EFL speaking classroom, framing oral skills through experiential learning. First of all, before I start, I need to underline that this topic is actually a representation of what I've been doing so far in my in 16 meetings, 16 times meeting in my in my listening and speaking class. It is quite tough. It's quite challenging because doing this is not an easy task. You know why? Because of the constraints we have in doing a face-to-face learning with the students. It's not actually, it's not expected that this will come into being, you know, in such a bad pandemic era. It's really, I'm really expecting that I can see my students in real life. You know, this is just, you know, what we have done so far is just a virtual meetings, and I'm quite sure that even though this task is rather you know, unlikely to be conducted, but I personally feel very happy that I could gain some data from my students. And they've done so well in doing outside work, outside the classroom work, and it's in a very natural environment. So for your information, this is a research done in a on the basis of a classroom action research. So I'm doing it to my students. I am taking part as teacher. I'm taking part as you know, as researcher and also designer. So I'm designing the classroom, I'm designing the research at the same time, and then I'm doing the writing part as the report in the final stage. So let's carry on. Can we carry on, please?
Yeah.
Can we go to the
on.
next? Yes, next slide, please. Okay, admin, can you move my slide? So I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you what I'm doing during this research is it's actually taking place only in half semester because I was doing the first half of the teaching, because this is handled by two teachers, me myself, and the other one is my senior. And I did the first part, so that's why I could finally I could manage to gain more time to do this study. So this is from speaking and listening online class, and the target is the freshman of English department students of UNHAS. So FEB UNHAS, Faculty of Cultural Sciences. So what I did first was to identify the problem. So I identified the problem and envision whether this will be successful or not. And then the second one, I developed a plan of action. So this is actually what is going on when we are doing a classroom action research. Now, while doing the action, I was also collecting the data at the same time, because once you have decided what to do in your study, in your research, you can start thinking of what you will do. You know, what I always actually share with my students when I am with them is that when you do a classroom action research, you can always collect data, whatever it is, even though it's not part of your plan. So because data sometimes, you know, sometimes while you are doing research, you are in the middle of collecting data, you found something interesting which is not actually which is out of your plan so far. So in collecting data, I could also find a lot of things that I never imagined before. So this is a very good time to share with you guys about what is a special thing that we can do in classroom action research. So after collecting the data, I analyze it and form conclusions. So based on this conclusion, I could share it with you now. I mean today, we will see that later. But you know, when I did this, after analyzing data and I I draw conclusion, I can adjust the theory. I adjust the theory, and hopefully later on I can begin again with different study, but with maybe with different subject, but a similar topic, and I could adjust the theory again and again later on. So this is the report or the result of my study. Okay, can you please carry on, guys? Yes. So now, why this study is important is because reflective questioning is actually part of a framing experience in such a way that we could ask the students to retell what they have done in class, what they have seen so far, what have they actually experienced that gives them a lot of input, a lot of ideas in expanding or in enriching their knowledge about what they are doing. Or in this case, when we are doing an oral exercise, by giving them a reflective questions, they will ask themselves what they have done and how they actually develop themselves in speaking, in developing their oral ability. So if you see here, what is experience doing to learning? I think these five statements here, 5 sayings, are actually very familiar to all of us. That Confucius said, "I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand." Which means, what is actually the best way of learning here is, you do it so you understand. You can hear, but you can easily forget. You can see and you can remember. So, which means eyes is much more powerful than our ears to some extent. And when I say I do, when he says I do and I understand, means when you do learning, you do practicing at the same time, that will give you more time, more opportunity to develop yourself. And then we also hear a lot of things about experience, that experience is always the best teacher. I think everybody will agree with me with this. Yes, I always try to convince people that, studying in classroom actually is very good, but learning from experience is even better. So if you have time to do more things on your own, experience things, you do things in your own time, then you will find a lot of knowledge. You can enrich your knowledge in a very efficient way. So experience is the best teacher. And also experience is actually the school of life, I think. And this I understand this is also very crucial, and I think everyone will understand, will agree with me. And then now, so what do all experiences, do all experiences lead to learning? Whether experience, when you do have experience, does it always lead to learning? And what is it about experience that leads to learning? Now, these are when we talk about experience, of course, there are some of the experience which is not very memorable, something, the experience can bring something good, but can also bring something bad to you. So when you learn from experience, of course, you can do a reflection. You can see that, okay, what should I do next? What shouldn't I do next? Okay, so experience really, leads to learning. But which part of this experience that leads to learning, we will see later how this EFL learning how can we refer experience to this English as a foreign language learning? Okay, can we move on, please? Okay, now have a look at EFL learning and experiential teaching. Now, why do I say here on my topic, experiential learning? It's actually because I'm referring to experiential teaching. So I am, as the teacher, I'm using method in class, which is called experiential teaching. But of course, on the part of the students, they will do experiential learning. So on their part, I'm taking the part on their position. So English as a foreign language learning and experiential teaching. What is the relation between them? When we talk about language use, when we talk about English as a foreign language learning, we are talking actually about English as a foreign language use and learning, and which these are always social activities. When we do when we use language, when we learn language, we always do social activities. This is quite challenging. Can you hear my voice clearly? Sorry?
Of
Yes,
course, ma'am.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
yes,
ma'am. Of course, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when we use language, when we use whatever language it is, and when we are learning that language, we are doing social activities. So you can actually think now about this pandemic era, when we cannot actually socialize, directly with the students, between the teachers and the students. It's not, it doesn't feel that warm, that close, that we are not very happy having class, but there is no face-to-face meeting with the students. It's not an easy task. So what I did was asking the students to go out of the house. Okay, they, of course, with their all these health protocols, they have to wear masks, they have to do a social distance and stuff like that. But I've asked them to go out of their house once in a while. It's actually only 3 times during the half semester, to go out and do a social activities in terms of grouping. So they have to work in groups, and they have to sit down somewhere and do a discussion. This is what I did for their experiential teaching. So I will show you later how this method is actually constructed. Okay, now also when we talk about learning, language learning and experiential teaching, we are actually talking about motivational and risk-taking factors which complicate EFL learning. Now, people, I think all the students, even myself, when I was still studying as an English as a foreign language learner, all this motivation and risk-taking factors always become a major, always become major aspects which complicate my learning progress actually. Why? Because sometimes you have very high motivation, but then you are not ready to take risk. You don't want to become a mockery. You don't want people to mock at you. You don't want people to laugh at you if you make mistakes. This makes us very, how do you call that? You're not ready to actually take the risk. This is one big factor that you have to understand. We have to understand. And then here it says as well that prior learning experiences can greatly affect how students perceive and possibly resist new learning experiences. So if in your time, maybe since the first time you learn how to use English as a foreign language, you might experience very bad, very bad thing in your life. For example, you got frustrated because your teachers were so mean, and these teachers have actually demotivate you because they gave you very bad feedback or very bad correction in front of so many people. This is actually not a good sign of good experience. I know that this type of prior learning can affect you personally in terms of how you perceive or how you might resist new learning experiences. So prior learning experience is very important. And then in terms of learning and experiential teaching, we can see that experiential teaching employs phases of reflection. Okay, so there are several phases. There are 4 phases that you have to go through, which actually deals with reflection to assist students to work collectively towards finding their own solutions to the problems they face in their EFL learning experiences. So, you know, I'm always concerned with the way Indonesian students are actually studying. I have also some studies done on autonomous learning or independent learning. It's very hard for teachers in Indonesia, as you know, at large, to actually ask their students to be independent in their learning. And this pandemic era has led us to a very urgent situation where people have to be able to stay on their own feet, you know, to stand on their own feet. They have to be able to be independent, to be autonomous, to gain autonomy in their own learning. And you know, one way of doing this, me as a teacher, I was thinking as, you know, this is a challenge for me to develop this during this pandemic era. What should I do? You know, I did this reflective questioning exercise for the students by doing group work and, you know, reflect everything that they've learned, you know, during that session, the grouping session, and so they can recall the experience to make them more confident and to make them more independent and autonomous. So this is a very important part as well. Okay, can we move to the next slide, please? Now, for academic speaking, so we are talking here about academic speaking for students of English department, yeah, in Faculty of Cultural Sciences. We are not only talking about, you know, a mere speaking, daily, everyday speaking. We are not talking about that per se, but we are talking about academic speaking, where people or students can use their speaking ability, their speaking skills to express their ideas, you know, in a very structured way, in a very well organized way, to explain what actually is involved in academic setting. So what are the main areas of resistance of the students that I found? You know, students feel nervous about speaking their English as a foreign language in public. I think everybody, you know, not only myself, not only my students, but everybody else in Indonesia will feel the same way. You know, you feel nervous. It's like when you are asked or you are required to speak in front of public, in front of people, you will feel like you have, you know, there is a constraint, there is a fear inside yourself that you don't want to make mistakes. You don't want people to do, you know, to look at you and say, hey, you are making mistakes. This is not right. You know, we always try to avoid that. Now, this is also something very cultural, of course, because in Indonesia, especially us, we are raised in a very complex culture where people are, you know, we put our dignity in a very high pedestal, very high position. We don't want people to look down at us. We don't want them to laugh at us, you know, so this makes it even more challenging for us to do a public to do a speaking in front of public. And then students don't want to work in groups, especially in this pandemic era. I remember when I did a classroom, face-to-face classroom, face-to-face meeting with my students in class, they love to work in groups. You know, why? Because maybe, you know, in some other studies that I've done before, I found out that some of them feel like more confident to work in groups, probably because to some extent, they can hide from the teachers when they have to do an individual work. So by hiding within the groups, these students can actually try to have try to reduce their anxiety. That's what I did fine so far. Yeah. And then students don't believe that they will use these skills they are gaining in their chosen discipline. Some students are, I found out, yeah, from the interview that they are not going to use these skills in the chosen discipline. When they have to study in English department, students, they will not use speaking skills every day to talk to other people. This is quite challenging, because I told them that, okay, your your department is actually English department and you have to be able to use this. But they said, yes, but in our everyday life, we can use other languages, even local language. We can use Bahasa Indonesia. We are not actually obliged to use English. So this is quite challenging as well. And they in their perspective as well, for their future work, they might not use this skill. So this is challenging again. And then students are inexperienced with group discussions and reporting of group results. Now, because I think this is because they are new students, they are freshmen, um, and they just finished their high school. They are not experienced. They haven't got experience in group discussions and reporting of group results. They haven't got any idea of how to do this. So when I
Okay,
asked
Ibu
them,
Nasmila.
yes,
Ibu Nasmila, sorry to interrupt. The time remain 1 minute, please.
oh my God. Okay, I
Yeah.
will go straight then. Okay, so let me just finish with this, because these are the main concern that I found. Yeah. So students get frustrated with expressing themselves in their own and switch to mother tongue. So during this experiential learning, students actually switch to the mother tongue so many times. Okay, can we move to the next, please? The next, yes. And how can experiential teaching help? We have for if you can design a reflective type questions, this can assist students with their personal goal setting, teamwork skills, and it can combat feelings of isolation. So please do this if you can. Okay, can we move on? I think I still have 2 or 3 more. And this is the experiential teaching method that I could share with you. There are 4 phases that you could do as teachers, okay, or as students. You can actually do this. Okay, can we move on? Next, yeah. And these are the pre-activity reflection that I've done. Questions that relate to students' experience, students' learning experience. Okay, can we move on, please? And these are the post-activity reflection. So there are 2 phases, the pre and the post. So these are the questions that I did ask to them. And then next, yeah. And these are what are the reflective questioning and academic speaking can do. So what are the questioning, reflective questioning and academic speaking can do to help our students? It can increase the investment. Yeah, increased investment means students will do more in independent learning and do fuller participation in class activities. Yeah, due to the linking activities to personal goals. It can increase awareness that the classroom is a community of learners. Each individual's behavior greatly impacts the learning experiences of the others. Students are more aware of the effect that switching to their mother tongue has on others and increase in development of group work skills. Okay, next. I think this will be the last. Yes, that will be the last slide. But what I've done so far has given me, more courage to share with all of you, all the participants here, that when you do an experiential teaching, that will give more opportunity for your students to do a reflection using their experience. Because, you know, in schema theory, as everybody knows, I think, yeah, your background knowledge plays a very important role in determining whether you will be successful or fail in your second or in your foreign language learning. I think that's all from me, Pak Abidin, as the moderator. Thank you very much for the attention. Else, and also for all the participants, thank you for being with me. Hope what I have done so far, what I have shared so far, brings something that you can bear in your mind. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much, Ibu Nasmila.
Yes.
Okay, as a moderator, before I let the second speaker, allow me to conclude quickly what Nasmila has addressed just now. I think it's very inspiring speech by Ibu Nasmila, who has addressed a very important point in enhancing oral proficiency that involves be ready to take risks, indulging in social interaction, incorporating personal experiences into learning, and they make up all the strategy in improving oral proficiency and also a techniques in resolving the problem of pandemic for this opportunity. Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Nasmila. We would like to invite the second speaker is Dr. Asma Aftaf from Pakistan. Are you ready, Dr. Asma?
Yes, good morning. I am ready.
Okay, thank you very much. Time is yours. Again, your time allocation is 30 minutes. Thank you.
30 menit jiwa mahalnya otakku. Understanding the value of communicative power in the 25th century, focusing on communication outside and language in the present time.
All right, good morning from Pakistan. And before I start, I just want to briefly give an introduction about myself. Can anyone, all of you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
Yes. All right, so I'll continue. I've been teaching English language to various grades in Pakistan, and for the past 10 years, I've been training English language teachers in ELT, that is English language teaching and applied linguistic programs. This presentation is actually part of work in progress. I'm in the process of developing English language teaching framework, and this presentation presents one significant aspect of it, that is communicative power. This framework that is being developed, it is based on the premise that language teaching should be based on communication. That is communication outside the classroom. So before I start defining what is communicative power, I want to talk about what is communication. This word in relation to language teaching and applied linguistics has been under focus since 1960s, like when the communicative approach was introduced. But I feel that the way it has been utilized, it has a limited perspective. Communication itself is very complicated, and all its features were not really appropriately handled in all varied methodologies that evolved out of communicative approach. So here, I do not have time to discuss communication in detail, but I'm going to look at it from a few angles. So first of all, I decided to look at the latest dictionary meanings of communication. And I used 2 online dictionaries. The first one, next slide, please. The first dictionary that I used was Cambridge English Online Dictionary, and it actually highlighted very important features of communication. First of all, it talked about sharing. Now, sharing means exchanging, which is actually what communication is. Then it talks about the message, information, thoughts, and feelings. Also, the audience is actually featuring in these definitions. Finally, it talks about the different tools that are used to communicate. It's not only language that is speaking and writing, but body movements, signs, etc., etc. Next slide, please. The next dictionary that I used was Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary. And here the definition was slightly limited as compared to the previous definition. It talked about transmission, but that is a linear process. Unlike exchange, it means to just convey the message from the communicator to the audience. While actual communication involves this constant exchange or interaction between the communicator and the audience. The audience can become the communicator as well, in other words. It focuses on the audience, these definitions. And it also talks about that communication involves making it the audience aware. That is important, that the message should be understood. Now, in all communicative acts, it's not really necessary. Sometimes the communicator may not want himself or herself to be completely understood. It depends on his or her purpose. So there were some, you can say, limitations in this definition. Now from this, next slide, please. I developed this definition. Again, it's not, I wouldn't call it a complete definition, but just a gist in a few words, contextualized discourse. Now this, if you can see, is related to discourse analysis and applied linguistics. And so I actually looked at the definition of what is context. Discourse is text, which is the message which is being communicated. But in functional discourse analysis, context has been described in quite detail. Next slide, please. And I'm going to look at 2 definitions, one from Song, who talks about 3 categories. Previous slide, please. Field, tenor, and mode. Field is actually the communicative act, which involves the situation, the communicator, the message, and the purpose for using. The second is tenor, which is the relationship between the communicators. Mode refers to the means of communication, which is the tool, what you use to communicate with each other. So here you can see that context incorporates all the main aspects. It is the communicator, the situation, the tools, the purpose, the relationship between the communicators, which can be one of the communicators may not be actually communicating, or maybe an audience, yet the relationship is important. And the means, how you are communicating. Next slide, please. So in the next slide, actually, the context is even more comprehensively discussed and described. So here it is, the text is also part of the context, the topic, the text type, the reason for communicating, the setting, which is the time and the place, the communicators, their personalities and relationships. So that is the more comprehensive description of context. And also their social cultural background, which is important, their personalities, what experiences they have had, their expected roles, and their beliefs and assumptions, and also their general knowledge. All that plays a part and all is important in whenever you're communicating. And all these features have been actually incorporated in the word context. So that is why in my previous definition of communication, I use the word contextualized discourse. The word context, it actually describes all these different assumptions. Next slide, please. All right, so this is a simplified definition. As I said, it's a complex concept. So communication involves an exchange of message between communicators in a specific situation for diverse reasons. Important things are, or aspects of communication is, first of all, exchange, secondly, message, then the communicators, then the specific situation, and one of the most significant features are the varied reasons or purposes for communicating. So all that are part of the communicative process or the communicative act. So next slide, please. Now, since I'm talking about language teaching in the 21st century, which has been showing us a lot of changes as far as not only, you can say, the way we communicate, but also in our beliefs. So, and it may, as I'm speaking, there may be many few other modifications or procedural changes in beliefs that may be taking place. So next slide, please. So the three main, you can say, events which took place in the 21st century, firstly, the digital environment became very important, that is being online. The second was that I think in the beginning of the 21st century, the world was taken to be a global village in which the national states, they decided to come together and be part of single platforms like the European Union, but it had repercussions and consequences with some sections of the population. They decided to promote national ideologies and priorities. So they were going against the previous concept of being together or being a global village. They wanted to promote their own national agendas. And this resulted in narrow perceptions and viewpoints. And the present, you can say, year, that is 2020 or 2019 to 20, as you can say, it's been, we are facing a pandemic situation, which has actually made us more dependent on online communication and environment. Now, while all these events are taking place, communication is being conducted through different means. What was previously thought about communication, or the idea of communication, has changed, as completely different kinds of text and communicative reasons have been cropping up. And as it has been stated by Ms. Shan, that rather than just talking about reporting or speaking, we have to demonstrate. And that means that when you communicate, you're not only using language anymore. There are many other kinds of means or tools which you use, like images, symbols, movements, actions, which are equally important. People who do not know the language, they can also communicate by using these means. And at the same time, as I've already discussed very briefly, that new beliefs, assumptions, value systems, and procedures are taking over, and people's assumptions are actually changing. They are also evolving. So you can say altogether that the 21st century, the beginning years, the first 2 decades, they are in a state of flux. We do not know what will happen like next year. And in this situation, we have to actually educate students and make them learn languages and make them acquire communicative skills. So next slide, please. So okay, now next slide. So as we move in again back to communication, the idea of communication has changed. Discourse and context is not the same anymore. The needs and interests, priorities, beliefs, values of communicators are evolving. The reasons and means of communication are changing, and messages are actually taking different shapes. Like previously, it was the language or the text that is important. Now we have memes, vines, chat feeds, comments, online comments, blogs, and the exchanges it's more interactive, and the responses may be some of the reasons, because whenever you say something online, there is almost instantaneous response. People can interact immediately. For one message that is given, there can be several different comments. So it is more interactive, and anyone can just go online and explain his point of view, or just share the views, just share the feelings. So anyone can do that. Everyone has an equal opportunity of communicating, which was not so previously, because previously there was more physical communication. And because of social media, now you can actually communicate with anyone, anywhere in the world. And many, you can say, communicators are simultaneously interacting. So this makes communication more complex than even before. And next slide, please. So I have used actually 3 main features which define communication in the present time. First, it's interactive, as I've discussed. It's purposeful more than ever, and influential, because so many people are actually interacting. So in order to be heard, you need to exert more power, be heard and seen. You have to have a more impact. You have to outshine others. And what interaction obviously means that it is related to the situation, the audience, which is derived from the communicator's needs and interests. The reasons for communication are, again, like previously, they're very varied, but they are more complex now because of this immediate response opportunities, and the reasons, as well as the type and degree of influence, is again determined by the communicator's own requirements and preferences, which are derived in turn from their personal natures, their assumptions, their value systems, again, which are influenced by their direct and wider socio-cultural environment. So this is the scenario of, this is how we can define communication in the 21st century. Now, please, next slide. Now I'm going to move towards defining communicative power. Next slide, please. I think we missed. This is the way communicative act can be visually represented. It is, you use tools like languages, symbols, images, because previously language was the main tool of communication. Now they, or maybe paralinguistic features. Now images and visuals, symbols and actions are maybe more important. People who do not know a language, they can still communicate to the different symbols like emojis and memes, etc., etc. Even YouTube videos. These help create the text, which actually represents the message. And what's the purpose of exchanging the message? To fulfill your purposes, your reasons, and exert influence on the audience or the people with whom you are communicating. So again, this is what you can say a representation of communication. Next slide, please. So what is communicative power? That is one feature of the context or aspect of communication is the communicative purpose. That is reasons why you communicate. And communicative power means that you effectively fulfill those purposes, and by so doing, you exert influence or impact on the audience. That is stand out. Exert power, that is the word communicative power. Next slide, please. So this, what is communicative power? If I can break it down into different components, it means to be alert, to be aware, be creative and resourceful, be critical, be emotionally charged, be influential, and then stand out, that is being heard and seen. So these are the, you can say, different features of exhibiting communicative power. Next slide. So what do communicators need to do to actually exhibit or reflect communicative power? They have to interpret, predict, analyze, use higher cognitive skills like evaluation, be discriminating, emotionally and mentally involve the audience, and deceive and manipulate, but with the purpose. Because as I said earlier, you may not want yourself to be completely understood. You hide something. You don't reveal the whole situation. Again, depending on why you are communicating. I'm sorry I have to hurry through this because of the time, and also I actually did analyze some communicative acts from which I actually realized that these are the skills that you need if you have to communicate effectively. So those who fulfill their communicative purpose and create an impact, they do use these 4 skills. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, and these are 3 more skills, which again, you have to focus on the message, select appropriate media and tools, that is how you are communicating online, physical, in spoken format, in written format, the tools, the language, visuals, maybe your paralinguistic features, your expressions, can be anything which can be used for you to communicate what you want and fulfill your purpose. Then effective style, which is very important, you have to use imaginative, descriptive, visual, powerful, influential language, that is tools which actually create an effect. So next slide, please. So how do we relate this to second language education? Next slide. Generally, we know what language acquisition is. It means to be accurate and fluent in the target language. But that is not the, you can say, the sole purposes. In addition, learners should be able to acquire ability to effectively fulfill their purposes in diverse formats and media, and to create an influence, that is to exhibit influence and power while communicating. Next slide, please. But what is the actual educational context? Now, I'm talking from the point of view of Pakistan. Here, it's almost like a fairy tale situation. It's removed from reality. The teachers, administrators, policymakers, they are not aware of what is language education, because they do not understand that to learn a language does not mean to just get grades, but to actually be able to communicate in that second or foreign language. Also, the learners are not really provided opportunities or practice or rehearse how they should be actually communicating in the sense as I have defined. And as a result, the language learners are not able to effectively communicate. In fact, I was conducting a research and I made students write stories and applications. And there were a lot of grammatical errors, but at the same time, there were also the kind of stories or applications they're writing, they did not seem like a story. They did not use appropriate language, they did not use appropriate content, and it was, the application was actually not fulfilling its reasons why they are giving the application, and the stories were not appealing, they're not interesting for readers. They wrote with the main focus on grammar and their language, and the spelling should be correct, but all the other features were totally ignored. And many of them were in fact not even aware what is a story. Next slide, please. So there is, because most education language programs, they actually focus on grades or assessment, that is formal assessment, and there is, because of that, there is undue importance given to accuracy, linguistic accuracy, that is, and there is a rigid, you can say, or limited focus or inflexible focus on syllabus, course outline, lesson plans, textbooks, which are actually ruling the classroom. The teacher only focuses on finishing textbooks. They're not bothered whether students are actually acquiring the language and the ability to communicate. Whatever in the textbook has to be covered. Cause I have actually observed some of these classes and they only use the language which is in the textbook, which this is again a very limited, you can say, educational experience. You cannot just expect students to read through a book and expect them to learn the language. Next slide, please. So the communicative power approach requires, first of all, the students, since we know everything is based or derived from the needs and their interests, so they should be given the freedom to select topics, texts, the tools, the language, resources, the reasons and the audience, and even the situations. And assessment should not be based on just accuracy, grammatical accuracy or mechanical accuracy, but on can say, successful attainment of purposes. And for that, you need a flexible classrooms, which are actually our present classrooms. They are not in line with this, but that is why we our students lack the opportunity to communicate in the target language. For example, they learn English for many years, yet they are not able to communicate in that language.
Sorry,
Next slide,
Dr.
please.
Asma. Sorry, Dr. Asma, to interrupt. Your time is 1 minute, please.
Okay, and next slide, please. So this is what kind of activity should we use? They should be able to, they should be rehearsing rail communicative acts, be rail authors of those who are communicating, use a variety of tools, media, style, linguistic resources, and the activity should be of value and according to students' priorities, and be important for them, significant for them, and provide them opportunities to be influential. Next slide, please. So these are some examples of activities, obviously, because I want students to choose their own topics. That is my proposal. So these are just some of these that you can take. Again, you saw on, though ironically, we are doing online teaching, yet focuses on traditional textbooks or syllabi and methodology, even in online language classes. So this is like using Facebook, creating a class with and asking students to respond and post their own pictures and the captions. Next slide, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is the last slide because the time. I'm really very sorry, Dr. Asma.
No, it doesn't matter. These are just
can you
examples.
conclude, please?
This is almost the second last slide. Yes. Next slide, please. This is again the present topical issues. So again, students can use any social media site and share their experiences and respond to other people's experiences. You can also use letters to the editor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We still have one keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Nurjihat Saleh. The first keynote speaker today is Ibu Nasmila, is a senior lecturer from English Department, Hasanuddin University, South Sulawesi Province, Indonesia. And the second speaker is Dr. Asma from Kinayut College for Women, Lahore, Pakistan. And before I allow Professor Dr. Nurjihat Saleh, I would like, as a moderator, to reflect very shortly the speech by Dr. Asma. I think we are enriched by the speech from the platform of communication, which require interactive dimension, purposeful dimension, influential dimension, and power dimension. This is the message that I can note from the speech. Okay, without spending much more time, we still have another. Can the committee unmute one of the participants' unmuted laptop, please, because it's very disturbing. Okay. The next speaker is Professor Dr. Nurjihat Saleh. He is also one of the senior lecturer in English Department, Hasanuddin University, South Sulawesi Province, Indonesia. Time is yours, Prof.
Your voice is very low, Mr. Moderator. Okay, thank you very much. And good morning, the Honorable the Dean of Faculty of Cultural Science, the Honorable, the Head of the ALS Program, Faculty of Cultural Science, the Honorable, the Committee of ALS this event, all the presenter, moderator, and participant. Thank you very much for your coming and your attention. We are grateful to the God for blessing us this morning in order that we can gather in this room to join this annual event from Faculty of Cultural Sciences. My position today is to address the keynote speaker. So I would like to give you several important points in the area of translation theory. Talking about translation means talking about two languages or two cultures. It means from source language or SL and to target language or TL. Mean that the transfer of a message from source language to the target language. That is why all the definition presented by the expert or linguist involve two languages. I mean the source language and target languages. One of them is translation addressed by Catford. Translation is the replacement of the textual material in one language by equivalent textual material in another language. So one language mean is a source language and another language mean target language. And this is the replacement. The replacement of the textual material is mean the message. Yeah, the message here does not change. Yeah, but this is only the replacement. But the authentic of the message from one language to another language relatively the same. Next, just skip to the third. Next, yeah. So this is the background of this translation theory. Translation is a part of life linguistics. If we talk about the the typology of the linguistic, like language teaching, and translation. Translation is categorized as a part of linguistics. Translation is communication process because all the order of the text, either book or journal article, they attempt to communicate to the readers. Yeah. Uh, but sometimes they cannot do it because of the language barriers. Because if they wrote the text in another language, but the target language communities did not understand the language written by the book in the books, this means that they cannot communicate. Yeah, they find noisy in the communication. In the communication, noises mean the barrier of communication because of language, because of technical factors. But these are linguistic factors. So translation uh, try to communicate, try to be mediator between the order and the readers. So the translator can be function dually. This is to help the author to communicate the message in the books. And another one, translator also help the reader to understand the message in the books in different languages. So translator is a mediator or communicator. Translator play important role in the development of science and technology. If you read historic about the the history of the translation, that from cross civilization, translation always play very important to to improve the development of science and technology, because there are many books destroyed by people, yeah, in different events, but the books or the message of the book have been saved by the translator and learned by other people or other generation. So it's play very important development in the science and technology, because we can imagine if there is not translators. So I mean that the the advancement of the high technology doesn't work like nowadays. There are about 80% of scientific books are not readable by researchers and lecturers because of language barriers. So you can imagine how much we have to spend to make one topic of research. But if 80% of them are not read by the academic people because of language. So this is we need translators. Go on. Yes. Move to the other one. Yeah. Come on. Indonesia is developing country. It need to be open to accept the advancement of developed countries. Uh, I mean that accept the advancement of developed countries into Indonesia, like from America, Europe, and Australia, and many others. However, the transfer does not go smoothly because of language barriers. Yes, move, move. Yeah. This is another definition of translation presented by McQuarrie. Translation involves the rendering of source language text into target language text so as to ensure that the surface meaning of the two will be approximately similar and the structure of source language will be preserved as closely as possible, but not so closely that target language structure will be seriously distorted. This means that the message that transfer from source language to the target language remainly the same, but the translation contains two aspects. One is meaning, secondly is style or the form of the language. So as to ensure that the surface meaning of the two will be approximately similar. It means that the meaning of the source language text relatively the same to the target language text, but the structure or the form of the both language cannot be the same. Yeah, the structure of the source language will be preserved as closely as possible, but not so closely that because target language structure will be seriously distorted. Ya, in Indonesian we can say kalau dipaksakan akan jadi kaku. Jadi makna itu boleh sama dan seterusnya sama. Tetapi bentuk bahasa yang ada di kedua bahasa harus mirip tapi tidak boleh dipaksakan sama karena dia akan jadi kaku. This is the Indonesian of the McQuarrie's translation. Yes. Another one from Newmark. Translation is a craft consisting in the attempt to replace written message and or statement in one language by the same message and or statement in another language. So from the four definition, we can calculate that the definition of translation always involve two languages. Yeah. But this is only happen in the cross-language translation. there is another kind of translation. We call it uh, interlanguage translation. This is interlanguage translation, but intralanguage translation, we translate the two dialects from one dialect to another dialect in one language. Yeah, like the ancient Bugis, ya. Jadi bahasa Bugis in Lontara, ya, should be translated into modern or up-to-date Bugis, because not every Bugis can understand the Lontara Bugis language, because we call it bahasa Bugis classic. I'm sorry because it's raining and it's very noisy from the source of my voice, so maybe this very noise to understand, to hear my voice. I try to solve, yeah. I So this is also happen in another intersemitic translation. Another type of translation is intersemiotic, like intramedia pro novel, one novel, yeah, with the same title and the same characteristic, but compared it to the villain, and another form of media. So here the different media, but the same story and the same character and the same title, but different kind of media. But this still we call it intratheomatic. Okay. Go on. Go on. Yeah. Yeah. This is a very popular definition of translation made by a couple, Naida and Faber. A couple of linguists named Naida and Faber. It doesn't mean two language from soft language to the target language, but they use different terms. Translation consists of reproducing in the receptor language the closest natural equivalent of the soft language message, first in terms of meaning and secondly in terms of style. I would like to show you the diagram, yeah, because it's okay. Go on. This is reproducing the message. Okay. Reproducing the message, equivalent rather than identity, a natural equivalent, the closest equivalent, first in terms of meaning and secondly in terms of style. So, in translation according to Naida, we need equivalent. We try to find the equivalent term from source language to the target language, but Naida use source language to the target language text. Two kind of equivalent suggested by the Naida: the natural equivalent and the closest equivalent. What is a natural equivalent? What is the barometer of the natural equivalent? Natural equivalent are stated by the native speaker, not by the dictionary. We cannot judge the natural equivalent from the dictionary. I can say one expression. If one Indonesian said to the British people, "May I borrow your mobile telephone, sir?" The British people didn't reply, and even though he said, "No way," so the Indonesian be upset. Why the British people didn't reply? Because the Indonesian people use no natural equivalent for the word borrow, pinjam. maksudnya, boleh saya pinjam teleponnya Tuan sebentar saja? Saya mau telepon saya punya keluarga supaya dia jemput saya. Ini terjadi di airport, ya, di airport. Karena because they use borrow, the British people do not understand because it's not the equivalent of the context. So they have to change. And suppose they change, may I use your telephone? Yeah, maybe the British people will come and he lend the mobile telephone because they use no natural equivalent. There are many words in Indonesian used by Indonesian people are not natural equivalent, but they use it because of the dictionary. Yeah. Uh, many students here say that saya kuliah di Fakultas Sastra karena saya mau mencari banyak teman. Mencari banyak teman, it translates into English looking for friends. I come here to look for many friends. Sebenarnya yang natural bisa digunakan oleh native speaker adalah to make friends. Yeah. One of my purpose to study in this faculty to make many friends. Yeah. Ini satu contoh saja. You have to use natural equivalent. Kemudian, then the closest equivalent. The closest equivalent, neither say there is no 100% equivalent. There is no exactly the same of equivalent. So we have to try to make the close, even the closest equivalent. Equivalent yang paling dekat. Kalau tidak bisa mencapai 100%, we try to reach the closest equivalent. Ya. Jadi banyaklah, there are many example in Indonesia use the closest equivalent because the term does not exist in Indonesian. Yeah, I give you some example. Like sheep, we don't have sheep in Indonesia, but we try to use another term like biri-biri or kambing. We use goats instead of the sheep. In Australia, there are many sheep. But in Indonesia, we have kambing or biri-biri. Yeah. This is the only example that are very close to sheep. Yeah. Another example, the snow and the curtains. Yeah. In the Christmas days, there are many Christianity people celebrate the Christmas days by using curtain to make snow. Ya, this is imitation snow. Ya, jadi mereka membuat pohon Natal, ya, the Christmas trees, but they put a lot of curtain on it, and they try to make the imitation of the snow and the Christmas tree in the Western countries like America and Europe, because they use that cotton is the closest equivalent of the snow. Yeah. They are white and they're very, very, very clean. You know, this very light and this very, very, very clean, white, pure white. Yeah.
Sorry, Prof. Your
Ya,
time
itulah dua
is 1
equivalent.
minute.
Ya, two equivalents recommended by Nade in his definition.
Halo,
In
Prof.
their definition. Yeah.
Prof,
And another
your
one
time
is
is 1 minute,
first in
please.
terms of meaning and secondly in terms of style. Let me say bahasa Indonesia. Karena kedua aspek ini tidak bisa ditransfer secara utuh ke target language, so seperti yang didefinisikan tadi oleh Newmark, bahwa meaning tidak boleh ditawar harus sama, tetapi structure or the form of the language cannot be the equivalent. Jadi tidak bisa
Prof.
karena
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
the rule of its language are different from the others. So we cannot force the rule of language into another language. Ya. Dan kalau itu dilakukan, itu tadi Nyoman mengatakan they will be rigid. Ya, dia akan jadi kaku. Ya, kalau itu dipaksakan. Karena kaku dia akan kehilangan meaning. Sehingga so neither say that if that happen, we have to leave the form, but we have to keep the first is meaning and secondary in terms of style.
Assalamualaikum Prof.
Like in bahasa Indonesia, if you say she is a beautiful girl, you cannot say dia cantik wanita, karena Anda mempertahankan struktur kata dalam kalimat, Anda merusak maknanya. Itulah yang diharapkan, first in terms of meaning and second in terms of style. Okay.
Assalamualaikum Prof. Assalamualaikum. Sudah waktunya. This time, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. No more. There is no more translation.
We move to another point is the process of translation. Translation is a process of communication.
Prof Nurjihad,
the process of linguistic process. So we have to move step by step and to reach a very good result of translation.
Yeah,
process of translation generally referred to
the order, yeah, Prof. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Translation is the process of moving from original text.
Professor Jihad, excuse me, sorry.
Ya, jadi
oh my God.
I would like to calculate that there are three kind of steps of translation process. First is the analysis, secondly the transfer, and the third one is restructuring. And we can see the
angkat tangan di WA.
Move.
Tolong panitia.
Halo, Putri.
Bapak Nurjihad, mohon maaf.
Who is the operator?
No one can stop him.
Time is over.
Time is over, Prof. Sorry.
Time is over, Prof.
Move.
We can't hear everyone.
There are other people from the other world with us, so allow me, and I'm very sorry to stop you, Prof, because you are already over time. I'm very sorry. We would like to listen from you in the discussion time. Okay, Prof, yeah?
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. This is the sub-language translation. Is the text we are going to translate. We have to read many times.
Time is up, Prof.
We have to read many times and analyze linguistically. We have to analyze the semantics problem and lexical problem and syntaxis problem. The X means the translated. No, I mean the text before translating. And then from analysis, we have to move the transfer. In transfer, where we have to, this is mental translation, because we can understand the text through reading, but this only until our brain. Ya. Jadi makna yang terkandung dalam teks yang kita baca, kita analisis, itu hanya sampai di kepala kita. Dan itulah disebut mental work ya. Jadi ini pekerjaan mental ya, pekerjaan batin. Ini pekerjaan batin. Bahasa Indonesia disebut pekerjaan batin. Ban ini kita mental work ya.
Mikrofon.
Ya. Karena kita sudah mengerti, tapi kita belum bisa tuangkan ke bahasa lain. Itu hanya tersimpan on our brain ya. In our brain, okay. Kemudian baru bisa we can say translation or target language researcher after restructuring step. Yeah, the step of structuring we have to restruct the information in our brain into the target language. Jadi kita harus rekonstruksi atau mendaur informasi yang ada di otak kita ke dalam bahasa yang sesuai struktur bahasa sasaran. Misalnya teks yang bahasa Inggris sudah kita paham, tapi kita harus membuatnya
Panitia,
ke bahasa
teknisi,
Indonesia yang
tolong
baku, yang baik. Nah, itu
untuk
adalah
menyelesaikan ini
proses
karena bisa kita
yang
malu.
dikatakan tadi oleh
Halo?
Naida and
Sorry,
ini.
Pak Abidin,
Kenapa
your
terlalu
voice
cepat?
is very low as well.
Belum.
Your,
Ya,
Halo, Prof. Nur Jihad, you need to stop
time is
because
over.
time is up. Ya,
Dari tadi,
Very
Prof.
fast.
Dari tadi.
Dari tadi diminta
Can
berhenti ya.
Ya
1
sudah,
minute, 2
dari
minute,
tadi.
ya, 2 minute.
Tidak ada lagi,
Ya,
Prof.
very
Sudah
important
lewat
thing,
waktunya.
ya. Boleh 1
Ya,
menit
I'm
saja,
sorry.
ya.
No more.
Saya akan
I'm the
perlihatkan videonya.
moderator.
Oke.
You have to rely
Saya akan menjelaskan sesuatu poin yang inti adalah
Later
apa itu
the
translator,
question and
ya.
answer, Prof.
1 minute
Later
only, ya.
and answer.
Tadi juga diberi extra, ya. Jadi untuk translator is a person who translate the message from short language text into the target language text in the written text, ya. Itu hanya untuk bahasa tertulis. Ya, menurut Owen, dia divided qualities and skill into innate and acquirable. Seorang penerjemah dia harus memiliki innate dan acquirable. Apa itu yang dimaksud innate? Itu adalah kecerdasan yang dibawa atau kemampuan yang dibawa lahir, yaitu a good translator is bright and quick on the uptake, ya. Inquisitive and alert, full of initiative, gifted with a fire with languages, flexible, motivated. Semua karakter ini, all the characters written by all are born, ya. Itu di bawah lahir. Jadi contohnya
Ya, Assalamualaikum, Prof.
gifted with a fire with language. Bahasa itu diberi dia sebagai karunia. Orang itu diberi karunia bahasa sehingga dia bisa mempelajari bahasa cepat dengan lancar seperti itu. Oke. Kemudian yang dimaksud di situ adalah ya silakan baca saja. Ini sisa
Prof.
sisanya
Prof.
karena ini waktunya sudah habis dan kita ini
Prof,
langsung
ditegur.
di apa namanya ini didaulat oleh komite, ya, atau moderator. Ya, tidak ada ini pemberian ekstra 2 atau 3 menit, ya, atau pemberitahuan sebelumnya, ya. Sorry,
Dari tadi kita sudah umumkan, Prof,
thank you
bahwa
very
30
much.
menit. Ya.
I just go to the last, ya. Ya.
Ya, sudah dari tadi sebentar kita lanjutkan, Prof, ya. Kita lanjutkan diskusi sebentar lewat diskusi.
Tidak ada suara.
Oh, tidak ada suara saya, ya. Kenapa bisa,
Halo?
ya?
Actually, we can hear your voice, Mr. Moderator. I don't know what's happening with the speakers Zoom because we can hear you clearly.
I can hear your voice, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, maybe okay, maybe there is a technical problem, but I am unmute here. Yeah, my computer is unmuted, and I don't know where the problem is. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
I can hear your voice.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what happens. Yeah, can technical
technical problem, yeah.
Yeah, members can resolve the problem, please.
Yeah, I can hear your voice.
Oh, I don't know what is the problem because my computer is unmuted. Ya, tapi orang lain bisa mendengarkan saya, ya. Bagaimana?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
I have also chatted Professor Nur Jihad about this one, but he hasn't replied on private chat for the operator.
Yeah, okay. This is a problem, unexpected problem. My voice is not heard by the speaker. I'm so sorry, Prof. Jihad, to interrupt you. We know, we understand that there is a lot to...
Sopan sekali sih ini, coba.
I can hear your voice.
Yeah. I don't know what is the problem.
I think you just move on.
Very low. The voice is very low.
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, but Prof, can you?
I can't do anything because I'm not the host. So, would you like to change the system that make it clear for me because I can't hear any voice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make Professor Nurjihad as the co-host.
Yeah. It is not a problem from my computer because other people can hear me, except from Nurjihad. So let's find out where the problem. But okay, I think this is the time to open.
So if any question related to me, just write down through the chat because I can't hear any
Uh,
voice.
okay, the moderator will, uh, will set up the rules and regulations.
Because only host can change the problem. I'm not the host.
Okay, okay. We would like to invite the participants to address questions, and please mention the person whom you are addressing your questions. We would like to allocate the time for question and answer. Okay, time for question, please, and write your name, mention your name clearly, your question, and so on. Yeah, okay, time for discussion and question.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator, should we convey the question orally or through the chat box?
I think you can address your question orally because we can listen. Unless the speaker cannot listen you can address your question in written form. Okay. So,
all right, may I get the person to propose the question?
Yeah, please mention the speaker whom the question is addressed to. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Putri Maharani from Universitas Hasanuddin. My first question goes to Dr. Asma, in which she put the new definition, she tried to put the new definitions on the process of communication. But in fact, in the analysis of some other sectors, such as, like to mention, forensic linguistics, we have to also consider the importance of the utilizations of instruments, such as the graphological communication cannot accommodate as much as the oral communication can. So Dr. Asma, what do you think about this? Should we also put the existence of instruments in the of new definitions of how communication process should be going? And my second question goes to Professor Nurjihad Saleh. Regarding the first highlight on the parameter of translation definition proposed by J.C. Catford, that he mentioned that the translation is process of replacing textual material from one language which is equivalent with the textual material of other languages. So in this case, how should we deal with the translation of idiom, which in certain countries, for example, in Indonesia, jangan beli kucing dalam karung, that we can not directly translate it into the English idiom by using the term cat. Instead, we should change it with pig. That's all. Thank you.
Shall I reply to your question, please?
I'm sorry, Dr. Asma. Allow me
Yes.
to invite.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Dr. Asma.
Yes, can you hear me?
Dr. Asma.
Yes.
I would like to invite more.
I think they are simultaneously. People are speaking. If we can, the rest of you can mute.
Yeah, Dr. Asma.
Yes.
We would like to allow you to respond to the question.
Okay. I am ready to respond.
Yeah, but we would like to invite more questions from the participants before we allocate this question to every speakers. Okay?
Okay, fine. I'll wait.
Yeah. Okay, just wait, and we will allow you to respond to this question. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, another participant, any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. The first question goes to Dr. Asma from Putri Maharani, the essence of the question is about the how communication should be handled uh, while it is in a restricted situation and so on. Okay, Dr. Asma.
All right. As I said, communication is very complex. It's not possible to talk about all the features. Oral communication, when I talk about communication, it's not only oral, it is also like visual through other tools as well. So I agree with you that oral communication is not everything, or it's the only form of communication that we should be focusing on. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. Maharani, Putri Maharani, are you okay with the response?
What if we make some extension to the utilizations of instruments, Mrs. Asma? To the some extent, such as the study of forensic linguistics, the utilizations of instruments are considered important. And this way, should we generate a new parameter how to define what communication is?
Yes, I agree with you. You can actually use for synthetic communication as well. But actually, I did not get the second part of your question very clearly. You can use
Hello? 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 Okay, Dr. Asma, is that your response? Putri Maharani, hello? Putri
Yes, sir.
Maharani. Hello, Putri?
Yes, sir.
Are you okay with the response from Dr. Asma?
If that's all, yes, I'm okay. Thank you so much.
I hope your question has been answered. I actually lost internet connection in between.
Yes, I think you
Adani,
arrived.
has your question been answered?
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Asma, we understand we are having connection problem, but that's okay. We are waiting until the connection is stable again. But between
Now
the
I'm
question,
connected.
sorry, we
Now
still have.
I am connected. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, stay tuned, Dr. Asma. The second question from Putri Maharani addressed to Prof. Nurjihat Saleh. The question is how to translate idiomatic expression in bahasa Indonesia, just like beli kucing dalam karung. Prof. Jihad, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Putri Maharani, yeah. Translating the idiomatic expression into Indonesian.
No, sorry, Prof. Translating idiomatic expression from Indonesia to English.
Translating
idiomatic expression.
Indonesian what?
Idiomatic expression.
Idiomatic.
The expression.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir. My
This is
real question.
related to the cultures, yeah. Okay. This is related to the cultures because we have different culture to another countries. So idiomatic expression is not easy to translate into other language because only a few of them have equivalence. Yeah. Every translator have some difficulties in translating cultural items or values to the target language, including the uh, literary works like poetry, like idiom, like proverb seperti uh, peribahasa ya, because we have different culture. Yeah. No, even though we can understand the meaning of the proverb in Indonesian or idiomatic expression, it doesn't mean that we can find the equivalent into the target language smoothly. I can give you example. Melempar sembunyi tangan ya. Melempar dengan sembunyi tangan. We cannot find the equivalent in Western people because it is the culture ya. We have different culture. Kita punya culture begitu ya. Jadi melempar dengan sembunyi tangan artinya kita tidak mau bertanggung jawab kalau melakukan sesuatu yang jelek. Ya, beda dengan misalnya negara barat, bukan saya angkat-angkat negara barat, tapi saya pernah tinggal di Australia, di Inggris dan Amerika. Mereka sangat jujur kalau melakukan sesuatu. Ya, contohnya seperti kalau ada anaknya jatuh, ya bukan benda yang mengakibatkan jatuh itu yang disalahkan, tapi dia salahkan anaknya. Kamu memang jatuh karena kamu matamu tidak teliti, sehingga kau senggol kiri kanan akhirnya kau jatuh. Nah kalau orang Indonesia, dia itu menyalahkan barang yang menyandung anaknya sehingga jatuh, sehingga anaknya itu tidak pernah menyadari sampai besar bahwa kalau saya bersalah itu saya harus bertanggung jawab. Jadi so like in Indonesian, if you throw and you hiding your hands, people in Western countries do not understand the meaning because the habits like that. They don't do it because we have different culture. But in Indonesian, it's very easy to understand if people say melempar sembunyi tangan. Ya, jadi we have different culture. But we have the same also. We have also the same equivalent, but only a few of them. If you say one shoot and 2 or 3 birds kill, ya misalnya seperti itu ya. Bisa kita mengatakan ya sekali mendayung 2-3 pulau terlampaui seperti itu. Itu ada kesamaannya ya. Atau sambil menyelam minum air mungkin ada kesamaannya ya. Seperti itu. Ya, jadi kalau kita mengatakan how to translate, kita hanya menerangkan apa yang ada di Indonesia. Misalnya tadi melempar batu sembunyi tangan. Kalau kita mengerti the meaning of Indonesian this proverb, so we can translate into English the real meaning of the verb. So in translating the idiomatic expression, we have to translate the meaning, the true meaning of the expression, and we translate into English. But we cannot translate the proper expression or idiomatic expression directly to English because this is identified by the culture, but we have the different culture. They don't understand it. Yeah. But if you explain the meaning of the idiomatic translation into English, maybe they can understand. Ya. Jadi kalau Anda mengatakan tadi maksud dari melempar sembunyi tangan, apa yang kau maksud di kepalamu bahasa Indonesia seperti itu? Itu diungkapkan bagi orang yang melakukan suatu kesalahan tapi tidak mau bertanggung jawab. Ya. Atau istilahnya sekarang mengkambing hitamkan. Ya. You cannot say just only the black goat. Ya. Itu hanya mengkambing hitamkan. If you say the black goat to English people, they don't understand because they have only semantic meaning. Black goat, maybe white goat, on the others, they have the same meaning. Tetapi di Indonesia mengkambing hitamkan means that they appointed to people who take the responsibility, who are not the owner of the action, ya. Yang sebenarnya bukan pelakunya, ya. It's not the actors of the action, but they point it out because they try far away from the risk of the the bad thing they did, ya, seperti itu. Ya, jadi apa artinya mengkambing hitamkan? Kalau Anda tahu artinya, itulah yang Anda translate into English. Misalnya, ini expression ditujukan kepada orang yang melakukan suatu kejahatan, tapi dia menuduh orang lain melakukan. Ya, itulah yang Anda to translate into English. Ya. Tapi kalau Anda mengatakan mengkambing hitamkan, Anda cari di kamus, Anda dapatkan mengkambing hitamkan, but people in the target language do not understand the meaning of the real idiomatic expression. Saya kira itu saja. That's all from me. Yeah. Putri
Okay.
Maharani.
Okay, that's sufficient. We would like to invite another participants to address question if you have.
Andi Hikmah, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, Andi Hikmah, please. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. My question will goes to Ma'am Nasmila. As we know, we are from generation 2019 in ELS. We are faced research or doing research during pandemic. So based on your research, in doing your research during pandemic, do you face some problems like interaction with participant or in collecting the data? If yes, how do you as a researcher solve the problems to make the participant being active or to solve the problems that you face in collecting the data, remembering you carry out your research during pandemic, or all of the things that you done is through virtual or online. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So you're asking about the challenges, difficulties that I found. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry, Pak Moderator, can I?
Tidak,
Can
langsung aja. Yeah.
All right then. Yes, sorry. Yes, this is a quite a challenge. Actually, we can do also a big research on the way we do research during this pandemic era. It's something different, But if I can share what I found so far, it was yes, the only thing that is a constraint is because I cannot do face-to-face interaction with the students. But remember that we have WhatsApp group to discuss things, and we also have this, the platform that we are using now, which is Sekolah, yeah. That helps a lot in collecting data through during this pandemic era. So, I'm doing an online interview. I interview the students through telephone, through also the most that I did was through our social media, the group, the WhatsApp group. The most activity in collecting data. I did it through that. So I didn't make that as a big as a very serious difficulty, as a very serious problem. But I tried the best. I tried my best to actually find the best way to collect the data by using, the available social media that we have. That's all I did. Am I answering your question, Andi Hikmah?
Oh yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah. Istiroka, I read and noticed that you have a question to Ibu Nasmila. Time is your Istirako, apa? Istiroka.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the chance, but actually this question is not for me. This is for from Widya Nur Paradina from Win Alauddin goes to Memnas Mila.
Yeah, fine.
The question is, during the reflection phase and after the student reveal their feeling and opinion, how the teacher react to their reflection? Is it better to stay still and listening them, or we can give such feedback to their thought? That's
Okay.
the question
All right.
for
That's
Memnas.
that's from the yeah. So that's a question. Now, since this is a classroom action research, everything that is going on during this research is actually part of the lesson itself. So it's part of the whole curriculum. So everything that is actually done by the student should be taken into account and has also a great impact on their final grade. So whatever they say, whatever they do during the exercise is taken into account. Is they're all taken as part of the sample of the samples, as a part of the object of the research. So they are given feedback. They are also always given feedback through Sikola. We have this platform that we are using in Unhasia now, and also through our WA group. So they are given feedback. They are, they can talk a lot about things, reflecting, through questions, and of course by adapting it with the experience that they have got so far. And those are the things that I actually took as a very important data. So they are given feedback. Yes, they have to be given feedback. Yep. Am I answering your
Thank you.
question? I hope.
Abi, if is there any chance I want to give a question just to Memnas
Please.
Mila?
Okay.
Of course.
Thank you, Jen. Actually, ma'am, what is the strike solution about the resistance of your topic, ma'am? Especially for the student or them, they don't have or doesn't have self confidence to speak in the public.
Okay, what is my? You are asking about my the solution that I have.
Solution. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Actually, because this is part of the whole semester curriculum, um, students are obliged to do the exercise, so they don't have any choice. They cannot run away from things that they have to do. They cannot run away from from the assignment that I assigned them to do. So they all of them not there are 32 people in my class, and they were all doing the same thing. So I didn't have any problem in doing that, because this is part of the classroom exercise. It's part of the whole system that the students have to complete. So if you are asking about problems, I don't actually see any problems. The only thing that I could tell you is that I could, because they're sending their video, to me when they talk in group, they're sending the videos. So I could see that some of them, of course, have problems with, with expressing ideas. But in order to be able to give them confidence, that's what I did. Actually, reflective questioning is part of the way of giving confidence or strengthening the confidence of the students. If you ask them to talk based on what they have learned, based on what they have experienced as part of their background knowledge, they will have plenty to say. So this is a way out, actually, to solve problems for those who are not very confident or who lack of confidence in speaking in public. Okay. Am I answering your question, Istiroka?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Any more question, please?
Yes, please. I am
Yeah.
for Sarfani Yaksan.
Okay. Sapreni Yahsan, time is yours.
Yes. Okay. My question is for Dr. Asma.
Yes, you can ask the question.
Okay. While conducting your research, of course, it's very related to social culture in personal culture. So my question is, do you have problem in talking about social cultures, especially for impacting the communication? So just describe how important the social culture could impact the changing communications at 21st century.
It impacts your priorities, your beliefs and assumptions. First of all, as I stated in my presentation, the purposes or the reasons for communicating, they are determined from your value system. Your values are derived from your socio-cultural environment. Whatever your priorities are, your expectations, like for example, how you feel about the way you dress, the way what you eat, what are your beliefs about your which kind of food you prefer, your way of dressing you prefer, the way of say which items do you value. All these things are part of your belief system, which are derived from a socio-cultural background. And because when you communicate, you have to promote your views. This is maybe one of the reasons for communicating, or the communicate purpose, as I call that. So if you value, for example, say mobile phones, in your culture, it is given a lot of importance. So you will be expressing your views, you will be promoting that, you will be valuing it. So also it will be like if you hold something in a negative view, you will be again, it is there, you will be maybe talking against it. So your message, your purpose is derived from your beliefs, which are derived from your socio-cultural assumptions, your backgrounds, and your values. I hope I've answered your question.
Sapaini, are you okay with the response?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, masih ada? Do you have any more question, Asma, Sapaini? Okay.
Sorry, sir, for the moderator. Muhammad Adam has a question.
Okay.
So, maybe.
Okay, please. Muhammad Adam.
Okay.
Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rabidin, for the chance. To Dr. Asma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question related to the context of the current practice of communication. So, what do you think the significance of understanding cross-cultural and having the awareness in cross-cultural communication? Do you think this is significantly more important than ever before? What do you think about that in this
Present
context?
times, you
Thank
mean?
you. Yes.
Okay, yes, because these days, as I've said, people now can have a lot of opportunities to communicate. Anyone can just go online and communicate with any other person who may belong to a different culture, a different country. So, cross-cultural communication is more in demand these days than ever before. Previously, maybe we used to exchange messages like through emails. Now we have WhatsApp, we have tweets, we have Facebook, um, and other forms of social media, and we have obviously chat feeds, etc., etc. So people, and actually you can see if you follow the threads how people are communicating, and they all belong to different backgrounds and countries, and they're all there actually exchanging, exhibiting, promoting their views, which are derived from their own belief systems, the national ideologies, etc., and they are promoting them. Uh, and obviously, this means also this can create problems in communication because the way we comprehend a message depends on our, again, our background, our values, our beliefs, maybe, and because a speaker or a writer may say something, or a communicator may just present one message or a picture or a visual or a caption, but the audience may not really understand what the communicator originally intended to state. He or she will interpret it according to their own beliefs, their viewpoints, their perspectives. So again, it's very complicated, and I previously, in my previous answer response, I talked about that. I was asked whether socio-cultural background affects communication. It does, because everything what you speak or your message, your reasons for communicating, they are determined actually by your views, which are derived from your culture. It can be your local culture, that means related to the locality where you live, the town where you live, the country where you live, the region where you live, and so forth. Yes, Mohammed, Adam, I hope I've answered your question.
Yes. Thank you,
Actually, we
Dr.
can
Asma.
talk at length about this. Yes, are you satisfied?
Yes, I am, and I think I agree with you because one, like nonverbal emoticon, might be interpreted differently in another culture. So, yes, thank you very much, Dr. Asma.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions from participants? We still have time. Any questions? Siapa? Tolong. Okay, from yeah, yeah. Any more question, please? Yeah. Okay. While waiting for other participants to address questions, is there any one of the three speakers want to add one more thing? Okay. Any one of the three speakers want to elaborate more things about the topic today? action today. Yeah. Okay, Prof. Jihad, do you have any more things to elaborate? Yeah, take your time. Hello, Prof. Jihad, do you have any?
I can't hear any voice now.
I can hear you. Okay, it seems we are having problems. Our internet is
Can't hear any
unstable.
voice
Yeah,
at all.
Mila, can you hear me, Mila?
Oh, okay, raise more. Raise your volume more, please.
I don't know what's the problem with my speaker.
Okay, I can hear you a little bit now. That's fine. Yes, carry on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I invite one of the three speakers if anyone want to say more things about the presentation.
Okay. Yes, can I say something?
Yeah, Mila, go on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, I actually just want to highlight one thing that is I think is very important when we do a classroom action research is that this type of research, even though it has been developed since 1964, a very long time ago, but it's still not very familiar to some practitioners or teaching practitioners, especially in EFL, in English as a foreign language teaching in Indonesia. So I would just like to invite people, all those who are participating in this seminar today, to do more research on this. Please, if you can do it, this is just my big concern, that when we do classroom action research, we are the teacher, we are the one who's doing the research, we are doing the role, every role that we could do in our classroom. So we are actually the determinant, a very important determinant factor in making the whole program successful. So if I could say, I would like to invite more collaborations from the participants to do a classroom action research, because I'm very sure and I believe that every single school or every single class has their own uniqueness. And this is very potential to be developed, considering the newness that we could actually dig out from this type of research. Instead of, just digging what have been done previously, which I think have probably referred more to theories, things that have been developed before. But if we do this classroom action research, I'm very sure that we will come out with a novelty. Every time we do a classroom action research in one particular class or in one specific context, I'm very sure that we will find something new from that. And that is very potential to be published. I think that's all I would like to say, Pak Moderator. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much for the further elaboration. final call for participants to have questions if you have. Is there any more questions? Yes, I think. Hello. Is anyone willing to have questions? I don't know what happens with my
your microphone. Now it's very clear, Pak.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Is anyone willing to have question? Raise your hand or make up your voice. Istiroka Sanjaya, do you have any question?
No, sir, but another person, I think Andi Hikmah raised her hand.
Okay, Andi Hikmah. Come on. Okay, due to unstable condition, we are having problems, internet problems, I don't know. So to the steering committee, on behalf of the moderator, I would like to extend my thanks to all keynote speakers, Professor Dr. Nur Jihad Saleh, MA, Dr. Asma from Pakistan, and Dr. Randa Nasmila M. PhD for their remarkable presentation. Thank you very much for attention. I would like the steering committee to take over the seminar. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya, silakan panitia diambil alih.
Well, before we go to the break session, so let's see the performance for the traditional dance team. So the team, please, time and place is yours. Okay, well, so that is a great. Well, so that is a great performance for the traditional dance team. So the next session is a break session. So just back to the room, to the Zoom session, sorry, to the next Zoom room, maybe around at 1 o'clock. So see you at afternoon. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.